2002, the Napier City Council and the Rotary Clubs of Napier combined to form the Rotary Pathways Trust, the idea being to form a series of cycleways and walkways that would encircle the city of Napier. In 2004, the Rotary Club of Taradale took on this project as part of its International Centennial Project, made a grant of $10,000, and we've been making regular contributions ever since. By the end of 2007, significant progress has been made on the project. There's no better person to talk to than Alan Watton from the Rotary Club of Taradale. Alan's been a member of the Rotary Pathways Trust since the very beginning.
Alan, where did the idea of a network of pathways come from?
It originated from Mayor Barbara Arnott, or Councillor Barbara Arnott as she was then, and councils around the country having to produce cycling and walking strategies if they were going to cash in on funding that central government was making available for these facilities. So that's where it started. Napier City Council looked at putting in place a cycling and walking strategy. Barbara Arnott looked at a facilitator of local funding, which was very important into this, and that's where she then approached all the Rotary clubs through the latter part of 2000 and 2001 up until the time she became mayor in the local body elections in November 2001. The 6 local clubs as it was then agreeing to pick up on this as a project. Later, of course, this Rotary Centenary came along, and we were able then to call it a centennial project and move on from there. So the clubs got right in behind it, all the clubs got in behind it. There were some sticking points from time to time where clubs felt that, and Taradale was one of these, where it felt that maybe it was all going to be built down by the sea and we would see nothing. People were assured that that was not the case, and that has certainly proved some 5 years later to be the case, that it is not all down by the sea. It is linking Taradale in with the rest of the world. The trust idea was that there was funding out there in the community that it is very difficult for a local council to pick up on and get involved in projects such as this. So the idea of forming the trust was that it became a facilitator of securing this local funding from corporates, from whatever source you could think of. Not only Rotary clubs, it was never ever envisaged that the total funding would come from Rotary club activities, but the major part of the funding would come from Rotary clubs approaching corporates and getting them involved in this project, which we believed at that stage was going to be one of the greatest projects that Napier City had seen for some time. It was going to be there for anyone and everyone to use, and not only that, it was looking at using, so that we could get it built, was using public land. And that's where the City Council was very strong in moving this project forward. The Regional Council with the riverbanks, because as soon as one got into having to look at private land, then there was all kinds of consultation processes that had to be gone into, and by staying onto public land, and all the riverbank stockbank areas are public land, there's all the seashore areas that were available for this, public land to build such things as this, and it just took off from there in 2002, moving ahead with the Bayview project. The total possible cost to Rotary could be in the vicinity of $900,000. When one added to that Napier City Council costs, Regional Council costs, Transit New Zealand costs, because there were considerable areas out there where we were hoping to work with transit and utilise the State Highway Corridor area and get full funding for those projects, where it was become a safety aspect of the State Highway, and therefore full funding available progressed very, very quickly, a lot more quickly than what we thought it would.
So Alan, tell us about the pathways that will include Taradale.
One of the main areas we've got to start looking at, and it has been looked at to some extent but not in any depth, is linking the EIT through to the on-road markings of Church Road and hence right through to the pathways that have already been completed within the Permanent Drive area. In saying that, Taradale Rotary of course has its Double Reserve project, and it would be absolutely fantastic if that Double Reserve project was linked in with the pathway, or linked into the pathway. And there are ways and means of doing it, because there is City Council land in there. There are areas of detention dams and what have you that can be looked at and used. And hopefully we can get through there and incorporate that and get a pathway right through the back of there. It'll take a little bit of work, but as I said, there is council land available in there to look at this work. There are on-road areas that can be looked at and brought into play, and that is probably the main area of work in the Taradale Rotary Club area that has to progress in the future.
So Alan, what about the wider links? The wider links in the Napier community outside of the Taradale area, and maybe the links with Hastings?
Right from day one, of course, in the production or the producing of the strategies for cycling and walking in the Napier area, there was also at the same time work going on in the Hastings area on producing a cycling and walking strategy for Hastings. So these two are going to be linked together, and to give a total link through, because this is what is required if you want local government funding, if you want central government funding. These projects have got to be hooked together and worked on together. So there are links to Hastings, Bayview area, there are links to Bayview area, and certainly Transit New Zealand are looking at the possibility of a cycleway joining with the Bayview one that the Pathways Trust has done, but looking at into Bayview central area and out through Franklin Road and some of the beach areas.
Thank you, Alan, on behalf of our club, for being so involved. Your efforts have been so instrumental in securing outside funding and for making the project happen. Thanks, Alan.
It's certainly been a great project to be involved in, and to be able to, for me to be able to bring through the expertise that I've built up over the years in cycling and walking through my professional career and through other aspects. And I'm certainly really pleased with the way that the community, the Rotary clubs and everybody else has got behind this project.
And congratulations to you. Should be delighted. Thank you.
Sadly, Alan died just 2 weeks after this interview was taken. In recognition of the marvellous work that Alan had made towards this Pathways Trust, its walkways and cycleways, the Rotary Club of Taradale presented Alan with the Paul Harris Medal. For tributes to Alan and the work he's done and been involved with on the Trust, we're now going to talk to the Mayor of Napier, Barbara Arnott, and the Chairman of the Trust, John Hennessy. We're in the office of the Mayor of Napier City, Barbara Arnott. Barbara, thank you for sparing the time with us this morning.
Pleasure.
The Rotary Club Pathway project is a real success. The Napier City Council initiated this, and you in particular. It's been a wonderful union between the Rotary Clubs of Napier, the Napier City Council and the Rotary Pathways Trust. How do you see it in the future?
Well, it is a fabulous success, and what it's got is the approbation of the community of Napier, in fact the community of Hawke's Bay, and I see in the future that it will continue to grow. It was always a 20-year project linking Napier and Hastings and all parts of Napier, so that any resident in any part of Napier would have accessibility to pathways. So eventually it's going to go circumnavigate right through Napier. It'll go up to alongside Taradale to the EIT, and then through the Dobell Reserve to the Mission land, and we'll keep negotiating for people so that we can buy land that we don't already hold. Well, we started in 2002, the Trust, which involves all the Rotary Clubs of Napier, and in 2003, when we opened the first bit, which was West Shore to Bayview, the Hastings Rotary Clubs came on board and they joined it as well. And I do see it as a long-term project, but I do expect that we'll work in our separate cities. Next year, the links are going to be made across the bridges to link up the cities, and I think as the community has got more and more excited about it, every time we make a link, they hop on board and they walk or skate or bike or do whatever you need to do around the pathways just to have fun. And that's why it was important to get Hastings Rotary Clubs on as well to work with that. I mean, it has to be the only project in New Zealand where these number of Rotary Clubs are working together. The Rotary Pathway Trust is made up of members from each of the Rotary Clubs in Napier, and this is the chairman of the Rotary Pathway Trust, John Hennessy. He's a member of Ahuriri Rotary. Alan was a member of the Taradale Rotary Club, and John, he really brought a special expertise, didn't he, to the Rotary Pathway Trust?
Yes, he did. I can remember when we had our initial meeting here, and none of us actually knew each other, apart from the fact we were Rotarians, and I'd met Alan before. And he immediately volunteered to be secretary, which is the hardest job on the trust. And I don't think anyone realised then his depth of knowledge on engineering, of bridges, of pathways, and more importantly, of people. He knew everybody in the industry, all over New Zealand. And without him, we couldn't have got as far as we did, as fast as we did.
Yeah, he was really good. He'll be greatly missed by the Trust, and we're very pleased that he was so thoughtful. Like, before he died, he really nominated a successor in Mike Wong as the representative now from the Taradale Rotary. A fabulous, thoughtful gesture, because Mike, of course, has worked in exactly the same fields that Alan has worked and has got all those same contacts. So. Alan really gave us a wonderful present while he was alive.
He did so much for the pathway, and he did things which probably people don't know about. A group from Kapiti came up and asked us about our pathway and how we did it, and Alan took them around and showed them, and then he organised them to have a meeting in Kapiti, and he went down there, at his own cost, and told them how to organise a pathway. And now they're started on their pathway.
As the Rotary Club of Taradale, we're delighted to be part of this project. We can see it just growing and growing and growing to benefit the city.
Taradale put their hand up right from the start. They wanted to be involved, and they're a really important link in the whole pathway project. We need all the Rotary Clubs, and we need Taradale because they work in their community, they know their community, and they've got the ability to bring their community on board. And so, especially when we're going through the Taradale area from EIT along Dobell and then through other areas of Taradale, the Taradale Rotary Club will be absolutely crucial to that progress.
Barbara Arnott, Mayor of Napier, thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's thanks to Mayor Barbara Arnott and Alan Watton this project has proceeded so well. With over 14 kilometres encircling the city at this stage, the total projected is 28. It's going to be a wonderful project, and it's good to see so many people enjoying it. I think it's wonderful, and I'm going walking.